Welcome back to another interesting tutorial. In this tutorial, I'll be teaching you how to sew this beautiful asymmetric neckline with princess dart and a puff sleeve. I decided to add a sleeve to mine, and if you look at this, you can see it has a built-up collar, and this built-up collar is just on one part. The other part has a neckline. So this is what the dress looks like right here. So if this is what you want to learn in this class, I will encourage you to stay till the end of this tutorial to learn the tips and tricks to how I made this dress. First, you are going to place your paper on fold because we are creating an asymmetric neckline. One part of this neckline is a built-up collar, while the other part is just a rounded collar. So from the shoulder to the chest to the bust point to the under bust and to the waistline, I've marked my vertical lines. Now I'm going to rule my lines across. I've ruled all my vertical lines. This is the shoulder, chest, under bust point, and waistline. Next, you are going to mark your neck width. My neck width is 3 inches. Shoulder divided by 2 is 8 inches. I marked it on the chest line and on the shoulder line. Then I marked 1 inch for my shoulder drop. You mark a straight line, get the midpoint of your straight line for your armhole, go in by 0.75 or 3/4 of an inch. On the chest line, you are going to mark your bust circumference divided by 4. Then you are going to complete your armhole. Next, we are going to mark your waist divided by 4 on the waistline. After that, I'm going to mark my nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2, which is my bust span, and I'm going to connect my dart leg. My dart is 0.75 on both sides, which is 1.5 inches as together. Then I'll replace the 1.5 inches by the side and close up the sides of this pattern. Now I'm going to retrace everything I have on the right side to the left, starting from the shoulder divided by 2. I'm going to extend my line. So what I'm doing here is to recreate everything I did on one side to the other side. Let me do that. So the complete bodice is ready right now. I'm going to add my bust dart. My bust dart is just 1 inch here. I divided it into 2, came out by 0.75. from the midpoint and connect to the chest line. So I'll do the same. From the bust point, you come down by your bust dart, which I have as 1 inch for mine. So this is my bust dart. Now we will begin the main business of this tutorial, which is the neckline. On the left hand side of this neckline, I'm going to come in by 4 inches. The width of that neckline there is 4 inches, and I'm going to mark dotted line horizontally from the mid armhole. So you just come in from the mid armhole like this and create like a square. So this square is going to help us to create that shape. Now I will go in by 3/4 of an inch, which is 0.75 from that point. I'll place my pattern ruler using the curvy part of this ruler. You can see how I'm creating that neckline there. After that, I'm going to extend this line. I'll just extend a straight line as you see right there. From that center front line, I'm going to mark towards the right hand side 2 inches. Then from that point, I'll come down by 2.5 inches. I'll also mark my dotted lines. From the 2.5 inches point, which I mark the dotted line right now, I'm going to also measure another 2 inches going towards the center front line. These lines are just to guide us to create this shape of the neckline. So we are going to get the midpoint of the vertical line, which is the 2.5 inches. Then you extend it outward with 1 inch. I'll go ahead and mark 1 inch outwards. Then I'll pick up my curvy pattern ruler and I'm going to move it to touch the 1 inch I just extended out. Then I'll use my straight line to complete the neckline. Next, we are going to place our pattern ruler in this form to touch that particular 1 inch to the 2 inches line to the center front. Now the neckline is actually taking shape on one side. So like I said, the other side is a built up collar neckline. So I'll go ahead to add up my pepper right now, so we'll be able to create that part. Here I am done adding up my pepper, so we'll begin to create the built up collar neckline. I would love to create the princess dart on the normal neckline side, so I came down by 3 inches from the tip of my shoulder and I'm going to connect my princess dart. I'm going to come down by 1 inch for the darts and I'm going to connect back to the bust point. I came out a little bit by 1 inch. I will connect back to the armhole just to accommodate the princess dart. After that, we are going to the under bust. You mark your under bust circumference, divide by 4, you mark. So whatever you have at that point remaining, you put 0.25 in front and the rest by the side. So that is how I like to contour my under bust. So you can use any method of under bust contour that works for you. I'll connect all the way from that point to the waistline accordingly. Next, I will go over to the other side. I'll also create a princess dart. So I came down by 3 inches from that point, connected my princess dart. So I'll come down by 1 inch again. I'm doing or repeating exactly what I did on the other side. I will mark 1 inch for that accommodation and connect back. So the princess dart is ready for both sides. Then I'll also contour the under bust the way I did on the other side. After this is done, I am going to label F1, F2. So I don't need one part of this dart, okay, because it's exactly the same with the other one. So we want to first draft the back before we go over to the built up collar neckline, because we actually need to measure the neckline for this back piece to use it to create the built up. So I'm placing my pepper on fold, as you can see, because it's still asymmetric. From the shoulder you mark your chest line, then you mark your waistline. So I've marked my chest line and my waistline. The waistline will be shortened by the bust dart difference. So here is the shoulder, chest and waist, and these are the measurements you need for the back. Next, you are going to mark your shoulder divide by 2. You mark it on the shoulder line and on the chest line, and the neck width on this side I used 3 inches. This side is the part that has the built up collar. I got the midpoint of my armhole and went in by ½ inch. Then on the chest line, you are going to take your bust circumference divide by 4 and complete your armhole. On the waistline, you are going to mark your waist circumference divide by 4, then add 1 inch of your dart. Get the midpoint of everything. That will be the point of your dart leg. So I'll mark what I got on the waist, on the chest as well. So I'll create my dart leg. I came down 1 inch from the chest line and marked my line. So the dart is ½ inch on both sides. So I'm marking 1 inch for my zip contour. I'll mark it all the way to the neckline. This is where the zipper will be, and I'll replace that 1 inch on this side. Replace what I also cut off on the chest line on the side. This is to have a complete back piece. Now I'm going to open up this pattern, so we'll be able to create exactly what we have on the right side, on the left side. Remember, this is asymmetric. So I mark my shoulder divide by 2 on the other side and extended my chest line and my waistline. So I will mark my shoulder divide by 2 on the chest line, mark my neck width. So we'll be using 3 inches first for both of them. Later I'm going to show you which one will have 3 inches and which one will have 4 inches like we did at the front. So I'll go ahead and complete this other part of the asymmetric bodies. So after that, you are going to also mark 1 inch for your zip contour line. So this is the zipper line that will be cut off. Now, if you look at what we have at the front, you notice that the left and the right has different necklines. So this is my left and the right. So whatever you have on the left, please move it to the right for the back. The neck width on the left is 3 inches for the built-up collar. So I'm going to place it on the right piece of the back. So we are alternating what we have at the front when we come to the neckline to the back. So I mark 3 inches on the right part of the back, while the front piece 3 inches is on the front. So the left hand side for the back neckline is 4 inches. I believe you understand. So we are going to connect our necklines accordingly. The neckline depth is 1 inch. So I'll just connect accordingly. So the neckline is ready right now. You can see it's asymmetric as we have in the front. From the center back, measure the right neckline. I have 3.5 inches. So we are going to use this 3.5 inches to create the inbuilt collar neckline. So I'm making a vertical line at the 3 inches neckline, and I'll mark that 3.5 inches. Next, we are going to make a perpendicular line and mark 1.25 inches. Then connect it back to the tip of that 3 inches neckline. You can see how I marked it. Next, you are going to place your ruler along that line and mark 90 degrees. So I'm going to connect 90 degrees perpendicular to that triangle line I marked. So my protractor actually has 90 degrees. So if you don't have, you can just make a perpendicular line. So that is my 90 degrees line. On that line, I'm going to mark the width of my neckline. My neckline is 1.75. So 1/3 is just okay. You can make it 2 inches if you want. On that triangle line, I will measure down my 3.5 inches we marked at the back of the neckline again. So I measure the 3.5, and this is where I have the 3.5 exactly. So I'm going to reconnect that line again. Then mark a parallel line matching that other line to the shoulder line. Then we'll begin to create the neckline to meet the other curve. To get this neckline accurately, I'm going to extend that midline to the armhole like this. And you are going to take 3 inches from that armhole. Just take it inwards towards the center front area. So if you're on a bigger size, you can mark 3.5 inches. Now I'm going to come up from that line by 1.5 inches. You can go ahead and connect a curved line meeting that 1.5 inches like this. After that, for the lower part, you are going to invert your pattern ruler, making sure the pattern ruler lies alongside the curve we have at the front. Of course, you are seeing what I'm doing right there. Finish up that neckline. You are going to freehand that part. So to get that curvy part very well, you are going to mark outwards 2 inches. You mark 2 inches outwards or 1.5 inch and connect. Then I'm going to round it up right now. Using the curve ruler, I'll just place it this way and round it up. So that is the neckline right now. So one part is inbuilt and the other is ordinary neckline. Just go ahead and blend this part, okay, just to have a smooth neckline. I'm just trying to reshape that part so it gives me a perfect shape I want. Next, I'm going to cut the neckline. So I'll just go ahead and cut it the way you see me do right here. I'll keep cutting it all the way down. But I realized that the neck depth, I'm supposed to put the neck depth into consideration before I continue cutting. So I'm going to take the measurement of my neck depth right now from the shoulder to where I want it to be, so I don't expose my bust. What I did right now is just to have a little reshape, bring that neckline a little bit up. So but the principle remains the same. So please, when creating the neckline, ensure you take your neck depth first. That was a mistake I made before connecting this neckline. After making this little adjustment, I went ahead to recut. So I cut as you see me do right here. So I want you to watch to see how this is cut. So I continue cutting this way. So I'm going to cut out right now the princess dart area into the armhole, as you can see right here. So I'll keep cutting this way. Next, I'll go over to the neckline to cut. So I'm going to take it towards that other neckline, which I brought a little bit up to avoid exposing the bust. So this is what I got after I'm done cutting. Continued cutting all the way down like this. So you keep cutting all the way like this. So here is one part of the dress and this is the other part of it. So like I said, we are using just one bustier because the both bustiers or the other side of the bustier is the same. I'll go ahead and close up my bust dart right now. After that, the pattern for the front is ready. Then we'll proceed to the back piece. For the back piece, I'm using a shoulder dart. Just get the midpoint of your shoulder and connect your dart, that's all. So I did that for the both of them, as you can see. So I'll proceed to take off the basic dart and cut into the shoulder dart. So here is the contour line. I'm cutting it off for both of them. I've already labeled the back B1, B2 accordingly. So since they have asymmetric necklines, so please make sure you have their patterns labeled as you see me do right here. The pattern is ready and we'll place it on fabric. Here are the patterns. I've added my seam allowances. I added 1 inch on the zipper, ½ inch on the sides. And the way I place this pattern, you can see wrong side has to kiss wrong side. Make sure the wrong side of lining and wrong side of fabric kisses each other. This is an asymmetric dress. So if it does not kiss each other, then it will be difficult for you to stitch correctly. So this is a wrong side, wrong side. I hasted my fabric. I added ½ an inch into the necklines like that. And like I said, the B2, I'm using both fabric for it. So here my patterns are very much ready. I'm going to make a notch at the under bust because I'm going to sew my bustier. So the bustier is just a princess dart for both sides. So the bustier, I just brought my wadding and I'm placing it on top of it. I'll secure with my pin and then I'll cut it off. Of course, you know how to go about it. I've padded the bustier. Next, I'll go ahead to stitch them together. Make sure you cover with your hairstay before you stitch it. Here is the bustier. I've stitched for lining and for fabric. So I'll place them right side to right side. Secure with my pins accordingly. So these pins, I'm going to pin it all around as you see me do right here. So I'm going to stitch ½ an inch very carefully. You can see how rigorous this neckline is. So if you don't go around it neatly, you will not get the shape. So I'll secure with my pins and after stitching, this is what I got right here. So you go ahead and make notches. These notches are very important, really very important, because I'm going to turn it to the other way. Okay, I'm going to flip all my seams to the lining and top stitch so it relaxes nice and flat. So here is what I got after I'm done sewing the bustier, turning it and giving it a good press. So the front is ready. We are going to jump over to the back. This is my back piece. I'll take off my pins and then I'm going to stitch them together one after the other. Make sure you give it a good press. You are going to stitch the neckline that does not have the built-up collar only. I'm going to stitch it close and top stitch. Then for the part that has the built-up collar, you can see the part that does not have the built-up collar. I'm done sewing it. Then for the built-up collar neckline, I'll bring it and stitch it first with 1/2 inch on the main fabric the way you see me do. I will secure with my pins very well and stitch 1/2 inch. So here you can see me, I've already stitched the neckline. Next you pick up the lining and place on top of that neckline and stitch. After stitching, you can see what I have right here. So now is remaining the shoulder seam line. So here is the shoulder seam line. I'm going to pick up lining to lining, fabric to fabric and stitch the shoulder seam lines with 1/2 inch. After stitching with 1/2 inch, this is what I got. So you can see they are sitting separately, okay? So that is how to sew this part. I'll give it a good press, open up the seam so everything lies nice and flat for us. Next, I am going to sew the other part of the neckline. So I'll just go ahead and place it the normal way we do. Then use the lining to wrap it up and stitch 1/2 inch. The neckline is ready right now, as you can see. Going over to the down piece, I've already placed my fabric on fold of my hip circumference divided by 4 plus 2 inches for seam allowance. So I'm going to rule a border line and then I'm going to place my waistline. So I'm just checking to be sure I have my hip circumference divided by 4 plus 2 inches. So my waistline is 17. I'll place my tape on the waistline. Mark your hip line. Mark 4 inches above your knee line. Then mark the full length of your gown. So your desired full length. I'm going to take my waist divided by 4 on the waistline. I'll add 2 inches for seam allowance. I'll also come up by 2 inches for the upper hip. I'm going to mark it. Then I'm going to place my tape on the lower hip and mark my hip divided by 4 plus 2 inches. I will extend it to the upper hip and connect. We are going to measure what you have on the hip. Whatever you have, take away 2 inches on the knee and connect. Then place the same thing on the knee on the hemline. This is a pencil gown, so I'll just go ahead and connect it like this accordingly. The next we want to do right now is to cut out this piece because the front is ready. So I went ahead to add 1/2 inch on the waistline like this. So the front piece is ready right now. I will use the front to cut the back. So I'll place my fabric on fold for the back. I'll mark out 1 inch of my seam allowance all the way down. Then rule my line across. Next, you are going to place your front piece on that zip line. So once that is done, I'm going to mark the butt allowance. So I'll extend all my lines from the waist to the hip to the knee line accordingly. On the waistline, I'm going to mark 1 inch for the contour line. Remember we had a zip contour line for the upper piece. So I'll connect that butt allowance to nothing on the hip. Then I'm going to replace what I have on that waist on this side. I'll replace the 1 inch on the side and I'll connect it to nothing on the hip because I did not touch the hip. Next, we'll go over to the knee. On the knee line, I'm going to mark 1 inch inwards. 1 inch, that is for the butt contour line, and I'll connect it this way. So I'm going to cut all of the part I'm marking right now from that knee line all the way down 1 inch. Then I'll replace on the side 1 inch on the knee, 1 inch on the hem, and I'm going to replace that 1 inch we cut off. So from the hip I'll connect all the way to the knee. We'll go ahead to cut this piece. As you can see, cutting on the chalk line, as you see right here, I will lift up the front piece and I'm going to cut through the butt allowance we added. So I'll cut it all the way down. Here the skirt piece is ready. So I'll just go ahead and trim off the excess on the upper part. Now remember we have zip allowance. So I'm going to mark my 1 inch zip allowance and make a notch to it so it will guide me while sewing this dress. After cutting, I cut out lining for my skirt piece. So next we are going to get the midpoint and join the down piece to the upper part. So I'm going to join all the down piece right now. Then I will join the front and the back piece, the lining, everything separately. After joining the down part, this is what I got. So what I did was to leave a slit. My slit stopped at the knee line, and I am going to sew my zip right now. Just mark 1 inch only on the fabric for my zip. After that, I will go ahead to stitch my zip. So the zip is ready. I'm going to turn my lining with the zip, as you can see. So this method is called the perfect inseam finishing. Here you can see the inseam finishing of the zipper line. Now we are going to sew the size of this dress. So I'm sewing fabric to fabric and lining to lining. After joining the size of this dress, the dress is ready right now. For the puff sleeve, you can click on the description box below. Thanks for watching.